GM folks, welcome to what's going to be another great DevNTell. So if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute podcast for builders and hackers to showcase something they've built or are passionate about. So whether you are from a high-profile Web3 startup, a weekend hacker, or anything in between, this is your opportunity and platform to showcase what you built with the Web3 community. And today, I'm ecstatic to welcome Django, who's the CEO of Flexy. If you didn't know, Flexy is a state-of-the-art bridge with the fastest transaction time and the lowest fees. So if you stick around for today's show, you'll learn all about Flexy and how it's an important tool for the DeFi ecosystem, especially for builders and developers. All right, let's get into it. GM, welcome to the show, Django. Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. I guess before we get into all of the awesome stuff you have planned for us, perhaps would you like to give a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Django. My real name is Parker in the real world. I've been in Web3 for the past few years. Prior to that, I was a data analyst, but then fell in love with crypto in general in 2021. And then I found my way deeper into crypto through like MEV bots and auditing. And I spent my last 3 years as a Web3 auditor, helping to secure protocols and just find bugs and just like help out the space. And that's kind of what I'm still doing these days. But over the last year, I've started building something called Flexy, which I'm happy to share with you today.
Awesome. So I guess, was there something that kind of stood out to you during your time as an auditor that inspired you to create Flexy? Or was it just like, oh, I see an opportunity here. I want to fix something.
Yeah, absolutely. So the use case behind Flexy, actually previously it was called something called GasBot. The entire issue was that as an auditor, for those who might not know, we compete in audit contests sometimes. So you have a couple of routes. You can either audit for a client directly, or you can do something like an audit contest, which basically is an anonymous way to submit bugs. And if you find bugs, you get paid for it in USDC. And myself and other auditors were having the issue of getting paid in USDC to various wallets. A lot of people want to stay anonymous, and they didn't have any Matic on Polygon to move around the Polygon USDC. And it's like, what do? Do you transfer some Matic to your wallet? But then your wallets are connected and you're not anonymous. So I created something called GasBot, which was basically a service to allow someone to sign an off-chain signature, which we can get into more of the details about that. And that's kind of the backbone of Flexy. Basically, it would take $1 of USDC from them, send them Matic, and then they can do whatever they want and stay anonymous. So yeah, it was kind of a tool built for auditors at that point. And myself, I used it all the time just because I was always running into that issue. And then, yeah, we've evolved to Flexy.
Awesome. Yeah, this is how usually these things start up. It's like you have this pain point and it's like, there's no tool out there for me, so I'm just going to build it. That's awesome. Yeah, I guess without further ado, did you want to get into the content?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I will share my screen here.
And folks, while Parker is going through his slides, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments, and we will bring them up as we go. All right.
So you should be able to see my little presentation here. Can you see that, Norb?
Yes, sir. You're good to go.
All right. So again, I'm Django. My real name is Parker. I go by Django in the space because as an auditor, I was doing something called bug bounties. And, they're basically where you find live bugs and you submit those bugs. And it's called bug hunting, basically. And I'm like, oh, what's a bounty hunter? Good name. And I'm like, Django on chain. That just fits so perfectly. So that's why I go by Django.
It is perfect. Yeah, it's so perfect.
Yeah, and it's funny because like it's almost like my real name now because everyone calls me Django. I forget. Oh yeah, I'm really Parker. But so I built Flexy. Well, Flexy has been live for about a year now. Again, like I said, in its previous form, it's called GasBot. We actually just transitioned to Flexy over the last few months. GasBot was only delivering gas, so it was using that gasless transactions to deliver gas. Flexy now delivers gas and all ERC20s that we support. So it's a full cross-chain bridge with some bells and whistles that I'm going to get into in this presentation, and a lot of stuff geared towards developers. So anyone who's a developer here might like to learn more about Flexy. So without further ado, what is Flexy? So on the surface, Flexy is just an ultra low cost, as fast as can be cross-chain bridge that we built for both crypto natives, people who have used bridges and have been in DeFi for a while, and also people who are completely new to crypto. We made it so that it's completely foolproof and that it just doesn't take as many clicks and crypto knowledge to understand how to bridge. Because personally, I remember when I first used my first dApps and my first bridges, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand about token approvals. I didn't understand anything. So we built our bridge to be as easy as possible. And the really cool thing about Flexy is we built it so that it can be integrated directly into any dApp in as few steps and as little dev time as possible. And I'll get into that as well. And why we built Flexy. I kind of talked about this already, but well, firstly, I just didn't like bridges. Back in 2021, 2022, I had a lot of trouble with bridges. It just seems like that space was a little bit lacking. And I just want to build something that worked a little bit better. And I also wanted to kind of build something where users didn't need to, let's say you got to a new dApp on a new chain that you just found and you want to use that dApp, you don't have any gas. I didn't like the flow of having to leave that dApp and find a bridge and connect my wallet to that bridge interface, perform all the bridging and wait for my transactions, and then eventually come back to the dApp. It took 30 minutes and it just didn't make sense. So I wanted to build something that dApps could bring into their own dApp and allow users to stay there and do everything they need, get their funds on their chain and continue using their dApp. So that was kind of the impetus behind that, also with the whole gasless thing I already talked about. So the things that make us different, like I said, zero knowledge required to use our interface. This is a little picture of our interface. As you'll notice, everything is in USD to make it super easy. So you don't need to know that ETH is $2,500 right now. And you don't need to input 0.001 ETH. Instead, you put everything in USD. So whether it's USDC, whether it's ETH, whether it's some random token, you just put in, hey, I want to send $30. And you'll see in the destination, you can choose the destination chain, you choose the destination token, and it shows you how much you receive in USD. After the gas fees that are required to send a transaction on the source chain and relay that transaction on the destination chain, it shows you exactly what you're going to receive. And I personally like this. I built it this way because in traditional bridges, it's a little bit more not transparent. You basically send $30 worth of funds, but you also send extra gas to cover the destination charges. And you might not know actually how much you're paying. It all just kind of adds up in the background. You've got to be really diligent to know. So I built it this way just so everything is as clear as possible. And the real thing that makes us different is our gasless transactions. So like I stated earlier, we use something called EIP 2612. And that is an EIP that allows you to sign an off-chain signature to grant allowance to our Flexy contract. And the reason you want to do that is because it saves you the hassle of sending an approval transaction and a bridge transaction on a bridge interface. So all you have to do is sign one off-chain signature. We pick that up, Flexy picks that up, and we send the source transaction and destination transaction. So we kind of remove the need to send your transaction and wait for it to confirm and then send another transaction and wait for it to confirm. We just ask you for one signature and do everything you need. This also is adds a benefit of, in my example, I only had one token in my wallets across all the chains. I didn't have any gas anywhere. So you can get gas without needing gas. And that's kind of what we've evolved from. But that's, one of the main use cases for us still. Just people need gas on a chain and they only have a token, then no problem. So we also, I guess another feature that really makes us pretty great is that we use 1inch on the back end. So all of our swaps are routed through 1inch. So we're happy to provide the absolute best swap rate. So in case you need to receive some sort of token that doesn't have too much liquidity or something, you can just make sure you can rest assured that we're going to swap through basically the best paths to get you as much value as possible. And with that, since we're talking to a lot of developers here, the question is, can you use Flexy in your dApp? The answer is yes. And how long does it take? It only takes 5 minutes. It is truly easy to bring Flexy into your dApp. We created, firstly, our bridge interface on flexy.tech, and then we boiled it down to an awesome NPM package that you can install and just import directly into your code. and it's going to work out of the box with your with whatever dApp you have. So this really does help your users get the tokens and gas that they need to use your dApp, and just kind of removes one layer of friction for them. And yeah, that's really who we're catering to now, just devs with dApps who want to just add a little bit of functionality and take the load off their users. And widget customization, like the Flexy widget, it can be customized to basically look and act however you want it to, because you've spent a lot of time making your websites and your dApps look a certain way. And it's nice that Flexy can match that theming with custom fonts and colors. We also have like a really easy light mode, dark mode switch, which a lot of integrating dApps tend to just go with a dark mode and kind of not have to customize too much, and just it fits their dApp pretty well. We also offer multiple render modes. So basically, our bridge interface you can just show as like a page with that bridge interface, or you can make it pop open with a button, which is my favorite. And I can show these in our demo, but I kind of like it because you can just have a button that, let's say you have a dApp and you have a token. You can just have this button that says, hey, buy this token. And it opens up your widget integration that is locked down to that token and just lets users funnel into that token really easily. You see a lot of dApps these days that they say, buy my token, and they link externally to Uniswap or they link somewhere else. And just that flow doesn't work that well because, it's great to retain users if you can. Like I just hinted at, so number 4 here, you can also pre-select the chains and tokens that you want your Flexy widget to deliver. That's really helpful because if you are a dApp on, let's say, the new scroll chain, you don't really want your bridge to deliver anything else. You don't really need to deliver to base, for example. So you can pre-select your chain, single chain or multiple chain if you're a multi-chain dApp, and you can select one or more tokens. This is really helpful because it just kind of funnels the user into only what they need. And for example, if you're like a lending protocol that allows users to supply USDC, USDT, other stables, you can just choose those. So there's no extra fluff with your bridge integration. We spend a lot of time making our widget as compatible with as many Web3 libraries as possible. So if you use Ethers, if you use Web3 React, WAGMI, everything will just work. And we have examples for how to integrate it using all those Web3 libraries. And then another really cool thing is that, so I don't think I touched on this too much. Flexy is in like an ultra cheap bridge. We built it kind of for the people. Actually, our stablecoin bridges are completely free. Subtracting the cost it takes to relay for gas, they're completely free. So if you want to send like $1,000 of USDC from Base to Arbitrum, it's you don't incur any fees. This is we just wanted to make it super cheap and super fast and just have something that people like to use when they're bridging. But if you do integrate Flexy and you want to make a little bit of money from it, you kind of want it to be an extra revenue stream, we have a custom fee setting, and you can set your fees to be like 1% of the bridge volume. We just leave that open to the integrator because some people like to set that, but what we see is most people with their dApps want to just offer like a really cool service for their users, and they leave that fee setting as 0. So the way to get started, you can check out our docs. You can go to flexy.tech and find our docs there, but specifically here's the URL. You go to the for developer section in the installation, and it walks you through just starting with the npm install and just walking you through the customization. But I'm going to take you through a demo right now. And if you just want to talk to me in general, you can hit me up on Telegram. I'm at Django Flexy, and I can talk you through steps and just help you out with whatever you need. So with that, I will take you over to my VS Code here. Narb, can you see this?
Could you zoom in maybe like 1 or 2 times?
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, perfect.
All right. So right now, let me go ahead and run this guy. This is just a raw, hold on 1 second. This is just a raw Ethers project. So there's really nothing here. It's just React with Ethers hooked up in the backend. So in order to install Flexy, it's just, it really only takes a few minutes. So the way you do it is you just do a simple yarn add at flexy.tech/widget. That's going to install our package in your project. nice and easy. And then all you have is a couple of import statements. So firstly, you import the styling, which makes everything look all nice. And you import Flexy from at flexy.tech/widget. And then all you have to do is throw it in your project. I have some code here just to kind of connect the wallet. If you have a dApp, you probably have a connect button. So it's just some conditional logic just to make sure that a wallet is connected. And all you need, this is actually extra that I'll walk through in a second. But all you need is just this line of code that says, throw in a Flexy component, and you need to pass in the signer data with your Web3 library. The reason for that is because if you do this step, then the user doesn't have to connect their wallet multiple times. So they're already connecting to your dApp. You don't need an extra connect button. So if you just pass through the signer data directly from your dApp that already has it into the Flexy component, then it's just good to go. And getting the signer data differs based on which Web3 library you're using. But this is the way to do it in Ethers, just to grab it from JSON RPC signer. And also we have examples for, like I said, the other Web3 libraries. Like we have an example in our demos repo for if you're a vanilla Uniswap fork or a vanilla PancakeSwap fork, depending on whatever Web3 libraries they use, you can just check out our example. That can be the trickiest part, just figuring out how to pass in that signer data. And with that, that's all you need to get Flexy up and running. So I'll take us over here and I'll load up what we have so far. Oh, I should probably run it first. So you'll see my connect button. I've already connected my wallet previously, so I probably won't need to open up MetaMask here. Sometimes it gets a little bit silly with me, especially on demos. My connect button. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, I think we're good. Oh, that's just something. This happens to me usually not more than once. This isn't like Flexy. It's actually just the my Ethers demo. I'm not really a front-end dev, so let me try to start this over.
And this is completely normal for demos.
Yeah, it just has to. I'm gonna see I'm gonna check my console real quick. I don't see anything here.
I think was there the ending the ending tag there of the component, I think, was commented out.
Is that still commented out?
Yes. Or is it? Oh no, never mind.
That's really funny. I might just go to my other demo that's already done.
Always good to have a backup. Nice.
Yeah, that's funny. Should be the same here. All right, so let me just yarn dev this guy and see what this one shows. Connect button. That's kind of silly, guys. I'm sorry. I'm on a window without MetaMask. That's my issue. All right. Well, I'm going to come back over here to a window with MetaMask. I'm going to come back to localhost here. All right. There we go. There's our Flexy button. Well, that was the silliest reason. Let me come over here and make sure see what my props are here. All right. So this is the same kind of view. Same thing. I'm just going to comment everything out. So this is the vanilla Flexy widget, and it shows us this button. So this button is customizable to look however you want. This is just our default kind of purple button, but you can, like I said, have a button that says like buy token or get gas or something. And when you click that, it's going to reuse the wallet that's already connected, and it's sorry, I'm having a little styling issue here. It's going to reuse the wallet that's already connected and basically scan the user wallet. So this is a feature that I really like about our Flexy integration. It scans the user wallet and shows them all their value across all their tokens, across all their chains. and in descending value. So if they want to use probably like the largest transfer, they can just use that first token. And we have a couple props just to customize it however you want. So you can make it dark theme if you like, just with a quick prop change to make it dark theme. Or you can change the render mode to component. So this switches between having the button pop up or just the static component on the page. So now when I refresh and I just connect my wallet real quick, then it's just the static bridge interface. But the features that are really, really cool are locking down to a specific chain. So in your default Flexy integration, you still allow your user to select whichever chain they want. And this chain select also shows them how much gas they have on each chain just to help them out. Because we also have a feature for destination gas just to give them some gas if they're bridging tokens. But if you're only live on one chain, such as let's say we do base chains, you just pass in the chain ID of base chain. Now their integration is locked down to base. So when they come here, they can only select our base tokens. And even further than that, you can pass in an array of tokens or just a single token. In this example, I'm passing in address 0, which is basically just ETH, so the native token of that chain. So now when they come here, they open up Flexy. It's already locked down to base ETH. So you can look at this as, hey, I want to send, let's do $10 of Optimism USDC. They can't select anything else. So they're going to receive about $9.94 of base ETH. And just to kind of show you this in action, this is the gasless transaction, just one off-chain signature. So it's asking you, hey, can you give Flexy allowance to $10 of your Optimism USDC? And you click confirm. And it's going to pick up everything and start to relay it. And then it's going to ask if you want to switch back to your original chain, just for the benefit of the integrating dApp. But you'll see if we look at these, the inbound transaction, it's already done. That was the whole bridge transaction. The inbound transaction takes your 10 USDC that you signed your allowance for, and the outbound transaction sends you, basically it starts with $9.95, swaps to ETH, and then unwraps and sends you the ETH. So yeah, that's how quickly you can add a Flexy bridge integration directly to your dApp. And then basically now your dApp has this awesome cross-chain gasless bridge. It only takes a few minutes, especially if you don't run into the issue of not having MetaMask on your browser. It'll take even less time.
Just case of the Fridays. It's all good.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's pretty much all I got. That's the whole gist and demo for Flexy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this is really amazing. I always appreciate folks that are taking the next step to ensure like people who are using Web3 tech don't have to deal with all the headaches that kind of come with it, at least the initial stages of it. I know I always have issues with bridges, so it's awesome to see you guys are kind of abstracting all that, all the nuances away. Couple of questions from me, and crowd, please feel free to type up your questions and we'll bring it up here. When you say the gas fees are covered, are they covered by you or somebody else on the Flexy side?
Yeah, that would be worth seeing. I'll present this again. So they're covered by your own transfer. Let me pull up our... Excuse me, I'm going to share my other screen. So when you come to Flexy and you start your bridging, you connect your wallet. So let's just do a USDC Optimism. So I'm sending $10 worth of Optimism to base, let's say USDC, to make it easy, USDC to USDC. You can see that you're only receiving $9.98, and the reason for that is because if you look at the Flexy charge info, The gas to relay on Optimism is 1 cent, and the gas to relay on Base is 1 cent. So
I see.
total 2 cents, and that's why we subtract. It's a little bit different if you're sending ETH, because you're not signing an off-chain signature. You're actually sending a transaction because there's no way to grant allowance to your own native token. And when you open up the little infographic, you see there's only a gas cost on Base because you're paying the gas on Blast in this example. So gas is just covered through your value transfer.
Awesome. Yeah. And I guess you showed it's really easy to kind of get set up. I think it was only like 5 lines of code when you import the component. What kinds of interesting applications have you seen Flexy being adopted in, or what kinds of different types of apps would you like to see it adopted with?
Oh yeah. So currently we have most of our integrations are DEXs. That makes sense because there are probably DEXs are just the most common DeFi app you can find. But I think that Flexy has a really awesome use case for NFT minting sites. NFTs aren't as big anymore, but just helping users get the necessary ETH. It's like, NFTs are popping up on various chains. Let's say Scroll, they're trying to get an NFT presence, just helping users get Scroll ETH, especially when they have, for example, like, mainnet ETH, and they just need to move it over real quick from the minting page itself, just to reduce that friction. Honestly, pretty much anywhere. Another example would be on-chain gaming. Same kind of issue. They need to mint a player NFT to start their journey. And then a lot of users are running into that just first barrier of like, oh, I want to play, but I need like one little bit of ETH or a little bit of gas, and they can't start. So just making that easier on them is definitely helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Do you foresee integrating a off-chain ramp as well to bring in like fiat to the person's wallet, or do you more so see yourself offloading that to some other libraries?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's been on our long-term roadmap for a while, but we've kind of pushed that a little bit because there's a lot of regulatory questions with that. Firstly, if we could leverage someone else doing that, that would be ideal. Our next step is to include support for non-EVM chains because we're only EVM currently. Plan on supporting Solana and Cosmos-based chains, and yeah, that's kind of our bigger milestone. Like that's coming up next.
Also mention that. I was going to ask you about your roadmap next. So I guess that's what we got coming. Looking forward to seeing that. And I guess from your perspective, being in the Web3 space quite a long time, and especially being in the trenches doing the contract auditing, like what are some of the trends and developments in the space that are really exciting you today, and you think are going to be really prominent going forward?
It's a good question. I'm seeing. So I'm auditing a lot of contracts that are kind of the next. It seems like the next phase of DeFi, and it's kind of interesting to say this because DeFi up until this point has been kind of about like a permissionless nature and just money for everybody. And what I'm auditing these days are a much more permissioned take on that kind of bridges the gap between CeFi and DeFi and TradFi. It's really interesting because it's kind of like it doesn't necessarily vibe with me immediately, like seeing all of the privileged actors that need to move your funds around and stuff. But I think that's kind of the next step towards mainstream adoption and just bringing in those big fish that aren't, setting up a wallet and funding that wallet and doing all the DeFi stuff that we know and love. So yeah, it's not necessarily exciting, but I think that's where we're going. But one exciting thing from an auditing perspective is there's contracts are being developed a lot more securely. I love saying this because we're seeing less hacks these days. Just it seems like there are way less of those big news pieces every month that are like, oh, hundreds of millions of dollars have been stolen. And just from an auditor perspective, you see just a lot of better practices being followed. So that's definitely a positive.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a reduction in those big headline stories. Do you think it's because people are taking secure development more seriously, or are people just using more securely developed libraries?
Yeah, that's a good question. There are like many reasons. The securely developed libraries, those libraries like Open Zeppelin or Solidity, or Soulmate, they're so they're so well developed and like they've been iterated on so many times that those are just ironclad, like bulletproof. Also, it just happens that people have been developing long enough. I think back in 2021, people were just they just learned it last week, and they're putting contracts online. And I think just the base average number of years that developers have been developing these contracts is higher, and they know what they're doing. And also the idea of audits, I think, has solidified in developers' minds and projects' minds that, hey, I need an audit, and there are really great options. Back in 2021, 2022, the standard was to get audits from a big traditional firm, like the big guys, which isn't a bad step, but it's an expensive step and might not yield the same results as going with a series of smaller auditors. You can get more bang for your buck through smaller auditors or audit competitions. I'm a little biased there since I perform those, but yeah, I just think there's just more. Auditors, we've leveled up too. So it's kind of just like, the full spectrum of everyone's just getting better in the space.
100%. And I love the sounds of that. Anything to make our Web3 community a bit more safer and avoid all the negative headlines. I'm all for that. So that's excellent to see. And I guess we're more or less out of time. Just to reiterate for folks who might be catching us late, what's the best way for folks to get started with Flexy today? And how can they reach out if they need help?
Yeah, for sure. If you're just a user and you want to bridge cheaply and quickly, go to flexy.tech/bridge, and you can start your journey there. If you're a developer, you definitely want to check out our docs, which I can link to you, Narb. And basically, it's just shows you how to install the widget and get up and running. And if you need any help, 2 places to go. You can either come to our Discord, which is in our X account. So go to our X account in the link, and our Discord will be there. Just join and ask me a question, or hit me up on Telegram. Again, I'll just throw that in the comments. It's I got to connect something. I'm not connected, but it's at Django_Flexy. And just happy to collab with any of you people and just talk through any issues.
Awesome. Yeah. And just want to thank you again so much, Django, for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share Flexy with us. And I'm really excited to see folks in Developer DAO in the Web3 space start and continue to use it and push our crypto consumption beyond just us nerds.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for bringing me on. This was a blast.
My pleasure. And with that, I just want to wish everybody a very happy Friday, happy weekend, and we will catch you all back here next week for another great episode of DevNTell. Right on. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.